I'm going to use the shortcut Shift-Z to fit the timeline in the window here. And I'm going to take a look at what I have so far. And I've added a whole bunch of clips down onto this timeline. Most of them I don't actually need. So I'm just going to click and drag across all of these clips at the end to select them. We know they're selected because of the little gold outline there. And I'm going to press the delete key on the keyboard to remove those clips. When you delete a clip off of the timeline, unless you get a warning, all of those clips are still in the project. So we haven't lost anything by deleting those clips. And in this video, I want to talk about how you can actually add clips in a different way than we did before. We looked at how to append a whole bunch of clips, but you can actually go up here and click and drag across the clip to select it. And then when you drag the clip down onto your timeline, if you drop that clip on top of another clip, so you're actually going to drop it when it's outlined, when you drop it down, you'll get a list of options on how you want to add that clip to this project. So these first ones are ways that we could replace it. We could just say we want to replace it, which takes this clip out and puts the new one in. So let me hit replace and you'll see the difference there. So this clip that I selected was much shorter than the one that was there before. So let me go ahead and hit Command Z to undo that last step. So Command Z, notice how much longer this clip is that was there before. And again, if I drag this on top of this clip, and then I'm going to hit replace, and you'll see the replace option deletes the clip that was there before and replaces it with what was selected. So that's one way to add your clip in. I'm going to do Command Z again to undo that option. And let's take a look at these other replace options. So the next one we have, the next two actually, we have replace from start and replace from end. So what this does is it's going to replace the clip that's in here based on the start point or the end point of this video clip. And when I do this, I'm going to say replace from start. What it does is notice the length did not change at all of a project. It actually just took this clip and replaced it from the start point with the one that we have selected here. And you might be wondering how this was possible if we know that this selection was shorter than the clip that was there on the timeline. Well, if I go up to the View menu, and I go to View, Browser, there's a couple of view options here. One of them is Used Media Ranges. And I'm actually going to enable this option of Used Media Ranges because what this does is it puts an orange line underneath the parts of the clip that have been used. And I can see all this orange line here. So what it did is even though I only had a shorter portion selected, it actually used all of the rest of this clip to fill in the gap that was here at the bottom. So again, let me do Command Z to undo this part. And I'm going to click and drag this clip down onto the one that was here. This time I'm going to choose replace. And notice our used media range, which is this orange line, is only on this part of the clip, because that's the only portion that was being used. If I do Command Z, I'm going to drag this one down, and I'm going to say replace from start. And notice, even though only this was selected, it's going to use all of this rest of this clip to fill in that gap that was there. Let me do Command Z again. Let's see the other option, which is replace from end. And if I click and do that, we actually get a warning. Because if you notice, replace from start, it needed all this extra time from our clip up here in the browser. But there's not that much time at the beginning. So when you do that, you get an option or a little warning here that says there is not enough media in the source clip, meaning in the original clip that's here in the browser, to fill in the entire range on the timeline. And normally when you do a replace from start or replace from end, we expect the entire length of the clip that's down here on the timeline to be filled in. But that's why we get this warning, is it lets us know that the resulting edit will be shorter. So this is something you could uncheck. You could check this box here to not get this warning, but I usually let this stay on because I like to know about it. But in this case, I'm going to continue this and take a note that this edit here is going to become shorter because we don't have enough media at the beginning here to fill in that entire gap. So that's why we got that warning. So So that's how you can do replace from end or replace from start. And I'm going to undo that so we get our clip back. And let's drag this down again and see the last two options here. So we have one here that says replace with retime to fit. And what that means, if I do that, notice our used media range here is still the same amount, but it's actually created a slow motion effect of 39% to fill in this entire gap. So instead of using the extra media at the beginning or the end of the clip, this one slows down or speeds up the selection to fill in this little gap. And if I play this back, what you'll see is when we get to that clip here, it is much slower. He's walking in slow motion as he's coming to the camera there. And we'll see the slow motion effect in greater detail at a later lesson. Let me do Command Z and undo that. And let's see the last replace option here, which is replace and add to Audition. So I'm going to show you this one really quickly, but notice it did do the same thing as the replace that was there before. But there's actually a little spotlight here on the timeline, which is our audition. And this lets us switch between two clips. So we're actually able to audition that clip. This feature we're going to see in greater detail in a later lesson, so don't worry too much about the auditioning part of it. But that's what that audition feature allows us to do there. And then the other one I want to talk about is we do have add to audition, and we're going to see that again in a later lesson. We'll see the audition feature. But if you did this on accident and you got this menu, maybe you dragged a clip into the wrong place, just hit cancel, and that'll take you out of that option there. So that's a couple ways that you can use the replace options to replace a clip. And let's look at another option that we have here, which if I have this clip selected, I'm going to move this playhead over right about here. And we looked at how to append a clip using the E shortcut, but there's also an option here that says insert the selected clip in the primary storyline. And that you can use using the W shortcut. And when you do an insert, notice what it did with this clip that it added. It actually split this clip into two and inserted this clip right into it. So let me do Command Z again. And notice how long this clip is, and notice where the playhead is. I'm going to go up here and do insert. And notice it essentially cut this clip into two and inserted or placed this clip in between it. So you might want to use that as a way to split up a clip to put in another one. And that's the insert command. I'm going to use Command Z to undo insert. And I'm going to look at another one here, which is override. And that's this third one over here. So you can actually override or use the D key on the keyboard as the shortcut. And unlike insert, notice it didn't split this clip up. It actually overrided and replaced some of the clip that was there. So again, Command Z to undo that. Notice this selection that's here. I'm going to use override, and it just replaces not only this clip, but also part of this clip too that was in that portion. So that's another way to add clips to your project, either by replacing them, you can use override, or insert. A bunch of different ways to edit and place clips onto the timeline.